The same meaning as Bechol Vav.
We begin again. Boker Tov Rabotai. We're here on this wonderful Sunday morning. We are learning a book called Ve'arevna by Rabbi Zilbershtein. Rabbi Zilbershtein says as follows. There's a pasuk in the Torah that says, we serve Hashem with all of our hearts. Ul'ovdo bechol levavchem. Says the Gemara, how do you serve Hashem with all of your heart? This is a question for Yosef. How do you serve Hashem with all of your heart? Yes. Oh, he got it right there, right on the button, right on the whatever. Yeah, the Gemara says, prayer, tefillah, is a service of the heart. It's not a service of the mouth. People think it's an exercise of the mouth and an exercise of the throat. Yeah, it's not. God doesn't need you exercise of your mouth. Baruch Hashem, everything is good. What He wants is an exercise of your heart. You have to serve Hashem with all of your heart. You know, there was a man in Baranovich Yeshiva. He gets a letter, he's drafted into the army. This is going back a long time. And still in the yeshiva, he doesn't know what to do now. His parents, they sent him money. They said, you're going to bribe the Russian officials. You're not going to have to go to the army. He has a stack of money in his hand. He needs to find something called a macher. A macher was that guy who you used to pay. He charged a lot of money, and he had connections. He would get you out of going to the army, but it was very dangerous. Dealer. You can end up in Siberia. You can end up dead, God forbid. Very scary. So still, he's about to go to his macher, and he sees his Rebbe, Rabbi Elchanan Wasserman. He sees Rabbi Elchanan Wasserman. He says, Rabbi Elchanan, I'm thinking of going to a macher to get away from going to the army. What do you think? And Rabbi Elchanan Wasserman said, do you trust your macher? You ever met him? He says, no. How do you know he's trustworthy? How do you know he's not going to rat on you? How do you know, etc.? He says, if you want, I also have a macher. He says, give me the money, and I'll take care of it for you. Yeah? Rabbi, money? Oh, Baruch Hashem. But he was a big he was a big tzaddik. Rabbi Elchanan Wasserman, I'll tell you, he was unbelievable tzaddik. He was already in his mid-30s. Yeah, he was already a Gavra Rabbah, Gaon. He left his students, he went to learn from the Chafetz Chaim. They said to him, Rabbi, you're already a big rabbi. Why are you leaving? He said, I have to go and learn from the Chafetz Chaim. And he went and he spent a lot of time by the Chafetz Chaim to learn even more. Not that I know enough, I could teach enough. No, I want to become even greater. This same rabbi, when the Holocaust broke out, Hashem got him out. The Hashgacha Elionah got him out. He was in the United States, the Holocaust broke out. He finds out the whole yeshiva was captured. Would you go back? No. It's a very tough question.
No, he went back.
Between me and you, he didn't have to go back. He didn't have to. And the rabbi said, I cannot leave my students alone. He went back to the Holocaust, Nazi Germany. Why? I cannot leave my students alone. How many people do you know like this? So let's go back. This rabbi, he says, give me money. I know a good macher, he says. I know a good macher. And 1 week later, this guy gets a letter in the mail. Mr. So-and-so, you have been absolved. You don't have to come to the army. He says, wow, unbelievable. The rabbi has such connections. Unbelievable. He knows a macher. He got me out of going to the army. He came to the rabbi. He said, Rabbi, who's your macher and how in the world do you have such connections? I'm so happy I listened to you. He says, yeah, you know, my macher is the best. He's the most trustworthy. He never lets me down. He says, okay. They're like, how do you have such connections? I would never expect the rabbi to have such connections. He says, in truth, he could be your macher also. He says, what are you talking about? He says, my macher is a kadosh Baruch Hu. God Almighty is is my macher. He says, I'll tell you something. That day that you came to me, that day you came to me, you would think that you would think you get an honest rabbi. This shul, not 1 year, not 2 years, a few years, Baruch Hashem has an honest rabbi who doesn't come close to money. You would think he's going to change the plonka. Nothing changes. Anyway, the point is that the rabbi said that day that you came, right before you, there was a orphan, a yatomah. She came into my office and she was crying and crying and crying and crying. Why? No mother, no father. She has no money. She doesn't know what to do. He says, so what did I do? I took the money you gave me and I gave them to her. And what did I knew? That in the zechut of this girl, the Macher HaKadosh Baruch Hu will take care of your problem. He says, I gave her the money and I made a tefillah, Ribono Shel Olam. in the merit of him making this girl happy, may it be your will that he gets out of going to the army. 1 week later, he gets a letter in the mail. He don't have to go to the army. So the point is, you gotta have connect. You know, you gotta serve Hashem with all of your heart. You gotta serve Hashem. You gotta serve Hashem with all of your soul. Now, there's a problem. Rabbi Zilbershtein brings a case here that there was an elderly man who started to get a little sick. He gets confused. Sometimes you wake up in the morning, you know those days, you're like, is it Shabbat today? Is it Sunday today? What day is today? You ever have that? It happens to me once every 5 years, where you're just confused, like, where am I? Like, not where am I, but what day is today? You got to start to figure things out, yeah? Nope, it's not Shabbat. But the idea is that this old man started to forget which day it was, and he would pray a regular tefillah, sometimes on Shabbat, and a Shabbat tefillah sometimes on regular day. Now, people, they started to notice, and they started to tell him, hello, excuse me, Shabbat. And they would disturb him, it would confuse him, he would get very upset until eventually he started to ignore them completely. Now, the question is like this. A person who's praying the wrong prayer, does the Shekhinah, excuse me, does God's presence still rest on him or not?
Yes.
I'll give you a halachic ramification. If the Shekhinah rests on him, you're not allowed to sit within 4 amot. That means if I get up right here to pray, from where Shalom is sitting, he has to stand up from his seat. Yitzchak for sure has to stand up from his seat. Shalom maybe could stay seated. Why? Because he's toch amot, toch arba amot. You're not allowed to sit close to 4 amot if somebody was praying. Asur. That's number 1.
You can't sit next to someone who's praying, unless you're praying too.
If he's davening Amidah, well, that's true what Yitzchak is saying. If you're in the middle of Shema Yisrael, you could continue. But generally, to be Yoshev, toch arba amot, if somebody was mitpalel, asur. You cannot do that. Why? Shekhinah kenegdo. Also, you're not allowed to pass in front of 4 amot. I'll give you an example. You know, sometimes I daven in Keter Torah. I love it, where I can just feel the guy's essence. Yeah, I'm in the middle of my Amidah, and he'll come in and like brush me, you know what I mean? He'll just you know what I mean? He'll give me one of those brushes, you know what I mean? Huh?
You literally feel him.
You mamash could feel the guy's essence. You're in the middle of Amidah, and he disturbs you, and it gets me mamash margizoti. You gotta come, you know. It says, Baruch Hashem, we're gonna send our administration to broaden its walls a little bit. It's kedai, I think. A lot of people pray there. It would be nice if it's a little more broad. Be that as it may, you're not allowed to walk within 4 amot of a mitpalel, of a person who's praying. It's asur. Yeah, you're not allowed to. The question is, if he's praying the wrong prayer, does this halakha apply? What do you say?
I would say yeah.
So this is the solution. You have to know, the Mishnah Berurah, he brings a Magen Avraham. What was the Magen Avraham's name?
Abraham.
Google him. The Magen Avraham was of Abraham Gombiner, right? He was of the Haronim. He was Migdolei Haronim. The Magen Avraham in the Ashkenazi belt is number 1. After the Ramah, number 1. You don't mess with the Magen Avraham. Very hard to learn, by the way, the Magen Avraham. Baruch Hashem, there was 100 or 200 years after him, the Mahatit HaSheker. He opens the Magen Avraham in a way you never would believe. You read the Magen Avraham like, well, what's going on? What does he want? Ma'omer. Yeah, like, what does he say? What does he want? Sometimes it's hard to understand really what he's trying to bring out. Yeah, these are the early Aharonim. When you learn the Mahatzit HaShekel, poof, he opens it up. Everything's so beautiful. Wow, unbelievable. It's so rich. Now I understand the words of the rabbi. The Magen Avraham brings down, when I pray, I fulfill a rabbinic commandment and a Torah commandment. The 18, 19 blessings we have in Amidah, those are rabbinic. Says the Magen Avraham. Listen, I'll read it to you what he says over there. If a person knows only one beracha in Amidah, he should say that one beracha. What would be our favorite beracha? Baruchenu Hashem Elokeinu et hashana hazot et kol minet v'atah letova. Right? That's our favorite beracha. Give me parnasa. Right? Rafaenu is a big beracha. Oh, yafeh. Now like this, he says, if he knows only one beracha, says the rabbi, you can say one beracha. You ever heard of such a thing? Kach kotev Magen Avraham. Who's going to get me a Magen Avraham? The Mishnah Berurah. Fine. Lema'aseh, what comes out is that's what the Magen Avraham says. He says, the rabbinic obligation to daven Amidah you didn't fulfill. Rabbinically, you have to pray all 19 barachot ala seder. You cannot be messing around with the seder. Yes? However, that's why when Rafi prays, if he forgot to say, v'ten talu matar livracha, he didn't ask for rain. He continued, modim alachnu lach. He remembered, Ibi? Lo amarti v'ten talu matar livracha. What? Tal means do, and matar is rain. Say it in Barech Aleinu. No, you ask. What do you mean? 6 months out of the year, you ask for tal. Now imagine Rafi messed up the beracha, or he skipped Rafaelu. Skipped it. He says, my name is Rafael. I'm a big guy. I don't need Rafaelu. Skips Rafaelu. He ends up in Shema Kolenu. Even, you know something? I didn't say Rafaelu. Halakha says, he cannot just say Rafaelu over there. He has to go all the way back. From Rafaelu, and he continues, Barech Aleinu, Tikah b'shofar, etc.
But it's allowed to go back to Rafaenu and don't continue, right?
Yes, if I didn't, I'm in Modim. I forgot to say, V'tentalo matar livracha. Where do I go? Barech Aleinu. From Barech Aleinu again, Tikah b'shofar.
You have to go back.
Ashiva shoftenu, yes, vadai. Why? The tefillah has to be ala seder. It has to be paparatko. It cannot be zigzag all over the place, right? It cannot be. You have to have ala seder. That's all rabbinic. He says, Mina Torah, even one beracha you say, Yatzata yedei chovat tefillah. And therefore, says the rabbi, that what the Shekhinah does rest on a person, even if he's mebulbal, because the first 3 berachot are always the same. The last 3 berachot are always the same. In the middle, you're right, you got a little confused. Nonetheless, the obligation Mina Torah he has fulfilled.
Which obligation?
And therefore, you're not allowed to walk within 4 amot of his, and you're not allowed to sit toch arba amotav. And why? Because the Shekhinah does rest on such a person. One more. He brings another case here. Oh, by the way, I'll tell you a story of the Brisker Rav. The Brisker Rav was once davening Amidah, and the rabbi used to daven like this. Yeah, you could hear him. Sometimes you hear him. No problem. Now his son hears him. It's Rosh Chodesh, and he doesn't say Ya'aleh v'yavo. Let's say Hashem Elokeinu, and he continues. And his son says Ya'aleh v'yavo. Doesn't hear him. He continues. L'tfilatam shi'i Hashem avodah l'dvir betecha. Ya'aleh v'yavo. Again, he's continuing his Amidah. Third time. Ya'aleh v'yavo. He doesn't hear him bichlal. Huh? I don't know. He finishes his Amidah. Took 3 steps back. Oseh shalom imrumav. U'berachamav yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol ha'mo Yisrael v'imru amen. His son came over to him. He says, Abba, it's Rosh Chodesh. Did you say Ya'aleh v'yavo? He says, Oi, I didn't say Ya'aleh v'yavo. He says to him, Abba, I told you 3 times, Ya'aleh v'yavo. Why didn't you stop? He says, I didn't hear you. Lo shamati otcha. I didn't hear you. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't hear you. He wasn't here. He was Zelemala. Bamenomim. He has no idea what's going on. And this is what the Shulchan Aruch, if you touch him, he might have a heart attack. Chas v'shalom. You know.
For example.
One of us, you can say, you can scream, Ya'aleh v'yavo, and nigmar. But the point is, the Shulchan Aruch says that when a person davens Amidah, he has to come to a level of hitpashtut hachomer. Your body doesn't exist. Can you come to such a level? You're not thinking about the steak you're going to eat later, about the swimming pool you're going to swim in, about the I don't know what. You're not thinking, your whole body doesn't exist. You have to be mafshitat hachomer. You're right now a neshama that's davening to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the level that a person has to reach when he prays Amidah. He's not here. He's not Sharui Khan. He's Lemana. Abba Ya'aleh v'yavo. He has no idea what's going on. You know, I think they say about the Lubavitcher Rebbe. He would hold something when he would daven. And they said, why do you hold something when you daven? He says, if I don't hold anything, my neshama is going to go. It's not going to remain in Olam Hazeh. It's going to go. Why? They had such a devekut, such a connection to Hashem when they daven, that then it was, you know what I'm saying? They needed something to ground them in Olam Hazeh. Let's learn one more case. The elderly man from the previous story now came to synagogue. He's sitting in the synagogue. Rafi, you like those guys? No, they come around tzedakah. They make 1 round and then they come again. Tzedakah. And you're like, Alo, achshav natati lecha. Yeah, what's the halacha? Do you have to give to the same guy twice or not?
Sure.
Now Yitzchak is going to quote me a pasuk from where the Torah says, Patoach, tiftach. The Gemara says even 100 times, Patoach, tiftach, open your hand. Give to him. But that's only dealing with an ani mamash, a person who's poor. Yeah? Here, 2 things. Number 1, most people, well, even if they are poor, let's say, right? He's not only coming to you to fix his problem. He's going to the whole synagogue. Therefore, I don't have to give him 1/5 of my assets, yes? If I'm his only help, you're right. I have to go into my bank, pull out a nice hefty amount, and give it to him. This is for you, Johnny Akesh. And you know, mazel tov on your daughter's wedding. But if he's coming to everybody, I can say, listen, Rafi, I'm going to give this guy $100, $200. Join me. Jump in another 100 and 200. Say, no problem. I don't have to go and give him a fifth of my, of my net worth. Nonetheless, he says like this. This old man, he forgot already, he gave somebody tzedakah, he gave him $1 or $2, and now he forgot, he wants to give him again $1 or $2. The tzedakah collector, is he allowed to take it a second time, or should he tell him you gave it to me already?
Take it, take
come
it.
on.
I'm sure he doesn't know that he forgot.
He's gonna take it, believe me, he's gonna take it.
We're not asking what he should do.
What's wrong with
Is
that?
it the haircut? What's different about you? Something's different, I don't like it.
Yeah, it's fine.
Go back to normal. Go back to normal. Go back to normal. Now like this, I'm bothering him a lot today and yesterday. Anyway, well, you hear the question? Can he take it or not?
Yeah, he can take it.
Omer of Chaim Kanievsky, he was asked if one must give tzedakah several times in the same day to the same pauper who asks again and again. Usually you would say the pasuk of Patuach Tiftach. He cited a proof from a Gemara in Hidushim that what if a pauper makes a round in the city to collect tzedakah and then he comes back? Jamaica State Synagogue is a good one. Comes back a second time for round 2. Yeah? One who wishes to give him again, he could do so. Yeah? But the collector is at, again, one who wishes to give again may do so, but the collector is at fault for doing so. Shouldn't come a second time to the same minyan. Shouldn't do it. You can come to a later minyan. Same minyan 2 times, not so good. Rabbi Yaakov Israel Fischel, he says the same thing. However, it seems that this was only said if the pauper could continue to ask other people and thereby reach the amount that he needs. However, if Alecha Samachti, if he needs you, you're his help. Yeah, he came to a synagogue, everyone gave him $1.50, yeah? You buy yourself a Snickers. You gave him $1. The guy has a wedding to play, he has a wedding to play, so there already, one should take it more b'ritzinut and take care of it. Accordingly, when collectors are offered money by the same person who forgot that they gave him tzedakah already, it is not proper to take it a second time. Why? You have to tell him, Kfar lakachti mimcha, kfar latatali. Should be yashar. You have to tell him that you already gave me. Why? Because if he forgot it, he's giving to you accidentally. Yeah? You should let him know because he has no chiyuv of giving you a second time.
Maybe he has no chinuch.
Now I'll tell you one more thing. There was once a guy, he gave tzedakah to this man, he gave him a few dollars. The guy went around the whole synagogue and then he calls him over again. He says, come. He gave him another few extra dollars. So the guy says, you already gave to me. Why are you giving again? He says, no, you don't understand. He says, the first time I gave to you because everybody was giving. So I gave also. Yeah? He says, the second time I was giving, I stopped for a moment and I said, no, this time I'm giving lichvod Hashem itbarach. Not because everyone else gave, not because of anything else. Because Hashem told me to give. I give for Hashem. That second time, for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and therefore, I'm giving to you a second time. That's what comes out, Rabutai. We'll learn one halakha, and we'll finish with this. If I have eggs and potatoes cooked on the plate, how many berachot do I say? 2 berachot. They're separate. Beseder. The question is, which beracha do I say first?
The potatoes.
You guys are good. That's the halakha. When I have ha'etz and ha'adama, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Lefi shitatenu, it doesn't matter. However, right, it's hard, tell him. However, if I have ha'adama or shakol niya bidvarom, over there the ha'adama is dominant. Why? It's more specific. And therefore it comes before the shakol niya bidvarom. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen. Rabbi Halil Yabrak.